Hey, Meridian Avenue family. We're back again with a Monday video for our Monday morning rewind. A little later in the afternoon, it's a holiday. It's Memorial Day. And in regards to that, I'm wearing my Faith Family Freedom hat as a reminder that today we remember those who were all in on protecting our freedom so that we can enjoy faith and family. So I hope you spent some time today with your celebrating with family and friends, a day off, but that you remember why we hold this holiday so dear. About 150 years ago, there was an English evangelist named Henry Varley, and he had shared one of the most famous quotes about committing to the Lord. He said, "The world has yet to see what God can do with and for and through and in a man who is fully and wholly consecrated to Him." Now, D.L. Moody, Dwight Lyman Moody, was one of the men who heard those words. And as he walked with the Lord, he came to have a greater understanding of what that meant, fully and wholly consecrated to Him. Moody had grown up on a farm and moved to Boston to try to find a better life. He went to work for his uncle in his uncle's shoe store. But he had one condition to get a job, and that is that he would attend a church every Sunday. One afternoon, the Sunday school teacher from that church popped into the shoe store while Dwight was stocking shoes, and this teacher shared the gospel with him, and he became a believer. And he became probably not quite all in, but he would get there. Later, he would move to Chicago to make his fortune his own way in the boot and shoe business, and he grew a very lucrative business. But it wasn't enough. There was something gnawing at him. And he started a Sunday school in one of the most impoverished areas of Chicago. Well, that Sunday school class grew over the years to be so big that he started a church that will be later burned down during the Great Chicago Fire. But eventually he walked away from that as well, and he began to do evangelism work through the YMCA during the Civil War with Union troops. After returning home from there, he was invited to go to an evangelistic meeting in England. It's there where he heard Varley speak those words. And on the way home back on the ship, he said everywhere he looked, those words kept singing. They were written on the floor, the deck of the ship. They were written on a wall. He just kept seeing them over and over. And so when he returned home, he gave his life fully into evangelism, and he ended up turning Chicago into one of the greatest evangelistic centers our country ever knew, leading some of the great revivals. He would have been an 1870s, 1880s Billy Graham, to put it in that context, to give you an idea of how big he was. His new church, Moody Church, would grow and prosper. He started a seminary, a Bible institute, so people could learn more about the Bible and become better at sharing their faith and becoming evangelists. And he also had Moody Publishers that published Christian writings and teachings all over. Today, those are all still in play. Fully and wholly consecrated are the key words. Maybe we don't quite understand that. Mark Batterson, in his book called All In, says what consecrated is not. All right, what fully and wholly consecrated is not. So listen up. It's not going to church once a week. It's not going to Sunday school once a week. It's not tithing. It's not sharing your faith with your friends. It's not leading a small group. It's not doing daily devotions. It's not saying the sinner's prayer. It's not going on a mission trip. All of those things can be done without being fully and wholly consecrated. And I agree with him, because there are a lot of people that do those things in church, but they're not fully and wholly consecrated. There's too many big buts when it gets to be fully and wholly consecrated. And if you want to know what we're talking about there with the big buts, please go back and watch our sermon from this past Sunday on YouTube, and I'll have the link on here as well. But go back and look at that, and you'll understand towards the end of the message what we're talking about when we say big buts. But I think there are a number of people who call themselves Christians that are not fully and wholly consecrated. They go to church because that's what they've always done, even growing up. Mom and dad were Christians. Grandma and grandpa were Christians. I've got a nephew who grew up in the Catholic Church, and he got married, and he and his wife moved to another town in Nebraska. And when he talked about joining this church, they said, "Hey, you need to be baptized." And he said, "Well, I was baptized as a kid." And he called me and said, "Hey, what is this thing with baptism? Why do I have to be baptized again?" And then I explained it. Who set up and who organized and who chose to have you baptized when you were a baby? And he said, "My mom and dad." And I said, "That's just it. You never chose to be in on Jesus." And when I told him that, then it clicked, and he's like, "Oh, I get that." And his wife had grown up in a Lutheran church not far from the Catholic Church theology, and so they both ended up getting baptized. Sherry and I were able to take a Sunday off and go there to witness that and see what how they have grown. But consecrated means set apart, and by its very definition, it means fully devoted, all in. It's dying to self, denying yourself, taking up your cross daily. It means surrendering all of you to all of Him completely. When Jesus says, "Hey, I need you to do this," it's all in. We're going. There's no big buts. It cost Dwight Moody his business, his shoe business. It cost Peter and Andrew their fishing business. And I think if you'll join us this weekend on Sunday, you're going to see that a Roman centurion takes a great risk and tries to go all in on Jesus. He had a lot to lose by going all in on Jesus. So understand that going in all in on Jesus might cost us something, but in the long run, we'll gain everything there is in Jesus and through Jesus. Hey, enjoy the rest of your holiday, and pray that you will join us next Sunday as we again watch Peter continue to grow in serving the Lord, and also see how Cornelius and his family take a risk to go all in on the Lord. Have a great night.